XOXO, got the girl. Pose. Hi loves, what's up? It's me, Audra, and welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are new, I'm not sure how you got here, but certainly I'm glad you came. And if you are new here, well, you're in for a treat. All right, if you enjoy chaotic, frenetic energy, you like beauty, you like horror with a little bit of commentary thrown in between, then I suggest you go on ahead and subscribe for the low price of $0. I would actually like to wish a happy belated birthday to Nancy. Nancy, thank you. As you all know, it was also my mother's birthday and they share birthday, so I had planned on being able to say that to you. So yeah, normally it's a random fact, but today we're doing birthdays. All right, what are we here with today, Audra? Well, fun fact, your girl was trying to get her shit together, and this year I'd put together a calendar of videos I wanted to film and when, and interestingly enough, this video was supposed to go up on Friday after my Thursday palette collection video. That's right, I'm gonna do a palette collection video. I'm feeling a little weird about it, but it's gonna happen. Anyway, this video is about something I like to call hate baiting. Obviously, I'm going to be putting on makeup. Some of it will be linked, some of it won't. So a large amount of it is affiliate links in which I do in fact earn a kickback, which I used to put back into this channel, getting fantastic things like a mic that actually hears me well and doesn't necessarily crackle. But if that makes you uncomfortable, just feel free to shop the way that you normally shop. Bo is seriously up to some shit right now. Bo! So for this one, I'm just gonna be using singles because since I didn't do the palette collection with my goal of using every single palette that I have this year, I'm just going to use singles so that I don't mess up my rotation. All right? All right, so hate baiting. What in the hell is hate baiting? Hate baiting, and I'm just using that as a encompassing term, trademark, but hate baiting is essentially when creators on all the varying platforms, whether it be Instagram, whether it be TikTok, YouTube, whatever, but the creators use these platforms and use hate as a way to get clout. Case in point, the whole insane situation, being super Trumpy and all of that.
Welcome back to my channel. And today we're going to be all sorts of, I suppose, maybe a little bit sassy, but
Please hold while I exorcise the ghosts in my home. Alrighty then. Before I was rudely interrupted by spirits, let's get back to talking about hate baiting. It's gonna be fine. But basically, any creator who doesn't have an actual personality and is losing views, what they're going to do instead is use hate to bait people. And this is how it works. You do something that you know everyone hates. Whether you believe it or not, you do it. So we all know Trump. We all know that, right? So, and very controversial, regardless, we all know that it's a controversial thing. So if you decide that you're gonna come out and be like the biggest DJT supporter in the world, you know what you're doing with that. You know that it's gonna garner 50% hate and 50% people who love you. But it's the hate that you really need, right? Because without the hate, the people who hate you, the people who love you aren't gonna help you enough, right? They're gonna comment and support, but you really need that hate underneath. The hate is what sells it. And now I feel pretty confident most of you know exactly what I'm talking about, but let me just put it out for you. If you have the hate, you have the people who come to the video because other people have let them know about the bullshit you're up to. And from there, they will then comment and tell you how wrong you are for having this opinion, these beliefs, and then other people, the 50% love people, will argue back and forth. Now, all this time you're getting, what is it? Engagement. So the lovers and the haters are arguing back and forth, and you're just sitting back gaining views. And this has been going on for quite a while, and it's gotten really, really popular with TikTok. And I'm not saying that it wasn't popular on YouTube before, because obviously that's a part of drama channels as well. But I'm gonna say it's reached a different kind of fever pitch now with the way that TikTok gives you 60 seconds to be as rude and hateful as humanly possible. So then that away, you are able to gain a very quick punch. Because with a YouTube video, you can say things that might be demeaned as hateful or whatever, but it just doesn't pack the punch as, 60 seconds, 15 seconds of you being as nasty as you can possibly be. So if your personality is flailing or failing and you don't have one anyway, and you barely had one in the first place, this is why you start seeing these like white girls on TikTok who suddenly are speaking the most incomprehensible form of AAVE ever known. AAVE, I always forget the E, I'm so sorry. But because of the V. But you see them speak the most heinous and incomprehensible version of AAVE known to man with, I don't know who told them that that's how black people speak, but and then they're arguing about how they can wear braids and cornrows are for everybody and fuck you God, that's how I talk, I just talk like this, I just talk like it's just ridiculous. They and they're doing this on purpose and they are winning a war, because if you go look at their content previously before they started behaving like that, nobody gave a shit about anything they had to say. What they did is they capitalized on realizing that this is what gets people talking, and people start talking when you're running around, doing a very poor imitation of what you think that blackness is, and then capitalizing on the people who are going to hate you, and then you're also capitalizing on all of the racist people who are going to agree with you, and you get to win. So what happens is they show up and they're like, go, come back, how about that? They start talking like that and shit, with their braids and their cornrows, arguing in the comments. And for instance, for TikTok, suddenly their video is getting duetted and stitched over and over and over again. In the world of YouTube, people are making videos about what an awful human that they are, and they're getting exactly what they wanted, which is attention. They wanted to get views. They wanted people to pay attention to them. They wanted people to know that they still existed. And so they literally did everything that they possibly could to make that happen. Now, again, if they had actual personalities, this would be fine, I guess, but they don't have any personalities, and it's not actually fine. But they don't have any personality, and you see what happens. So many people have been doing this, it's actually unreal. And the thing is, there's so many different reasons why this baiting is awful, but I just want to touch on a few of them, and I'm kind of going off the top of my head. I was gonna have notes, because it was gonna be prepared, but then, cuckoo! And so now also we are seeing this really large influx of dating advice weirdos, and essentially what these predominantly male people are doing is they're coming in and they start saying some crazy shit, right? They start saying some shit like basically emotionally manipulate the bitch. It's her own fault for not sleeping with you. Excuse the terminology, but it's needed for what I'm about to say. And their whole idea is just to emotionally manipulate women into doing, saying, or acting the way that they want them to, since, they took you out to dinner or whatever, and now you owe them. Now, whether these people believe this shit or not doesn't matter. The point is, it's now gaining them a following that they didn't have before. And my issue with hate baiting, because being anti-feminist is so hot right now, many of my issues is that, first of all, I feel like there's a large chunk of these people who don't believe a fucking word coming out of their mouths. They're literally saying it because they know it's gonna get play. They are fully aware that by them making this content, they are going to get all of the play that they need that they weren't getting before. So now you're going to have the gays kicking in, because obviously there are a lot of wonderful people in the gay community, in the LGBTQ plus community, that are activists and will do a lot to be like, this isn't how you need to behave, and this is blah, 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 blah. You will definitely have the feminists chirp in. And then of course, you're gonna have the straight men who are appalled at this behavior. And all of these people are garnering views. They're doing stitches, they're doing videos, they're doing duets. And all of us, myself included, get involved in talking about what a horrible person that so-and-so is. Just look at their content. And here's the thing, we're all creatures of curiosity. So, you know, if somebody tells you about this shit, you're gonna go see it. Like, you try really hard not to. But guess what? You're a creature who gets curious. We're all a little bit curious from time to time. And you're gonna wanna go see, especially if many people are talking about it. And that's the problem. You don't want to watch the train wreck, but like everybody's telling you there's a train wreck. Like, of course you're gonna drive over and see it. It sounds awful and it sounds terrible, but it's true. You're gonna run over, you're gonna see what's all the fuss about, why is everyone mad, and then you watch it, you get angry, and the hate baiting has worked. Now, one of the biggest issues with hate baiting is that it's overwhelmingly directed at marginalized people. Obviously, there's the obvious, you know, hate part, there's the hate. Trans people, non-binary people, women, persons of color, it's directed at these people. So no different than when people were using all of these marginalized groups as a source of humor, they're now using it as a source for social justice. So they know that like people are woke now, people are paying attention, and there are a lot of people who won't stand for this kind of bullshit. But guess what? Since they know people won't stand for it, they also know people are going to talk about it and they're gonna get fucking views out of it when they do it. There will be a lot more cursing than usual in this. And so what these people are gonna do is they're gonna constantly create this content which is so harmful. And it's harmful specifically if they don't believe in this shit. And I'm pointing this out because I do need to. It's especially harmful if they don't believe in it and they're doing it for views, because they're completely neglecting the fact that there is a whole group of people that they are hurting. And they are also galvanizing people who actually believe that to feel stronger in their beliefs, to act in a way that they deem appropriate towards those people that they feel deserve whatever's coming to them. And so this definitely raises some very specific issues with regard to the marginalized communities, because it's also giving these people a platform to go to and to listen to and to agree with, like a platform that they normally wouldn't have. Now they have someone to listen to. And the problem with people having someone to listen to who agrees exactly with them in their hatred is that they can now feel completely justified in whatever actions that they take. And I said that again because I feel like people really need to hear that, because when you are in any way hateful towards another group of people or another person, for whatever reason that you are hateful, when you are hateful like that, you do need a community to feel that way. Because as human beings, we're communal creatures. So we want to have a community that has the same beliefs as we do. So what you've done is you've created people who can now easily find one another, connect, and then who knows what harm they will do with the beliefs that they have. Because for a good chunk of these people, we know very few of them are actually going to act, right? We know that there's a good chunk of those people who will not do anything, who won't harm anybody. They're literally just sitting here talking out of the side of their mouth. But then we have the other ones. The ones who have been looking for other people to agree with them so that when, not if, when they commit a heinous act, they're able to, one, point to the fact that so-and-so believes the same way. This is a regular occurrence with these types of events that go down. A large amount of these people, especially in today's world, will be able to point to a creator or creators that they feel gave them, the ability to behave like this, which is very, very frightening and very, very frustrating, because it shouldn't be this easy. They shouldn't have such an easy time of being given a platform to hate, and yet they were. My issue with this will always remain the same. If you don't believe in it, you're just creating a world for people who do to feel justified in their hatred. And realistically, at this point, it's like, get a fucking personality. Sorry that you're no longer interesting, but you should have thought about that before you just didn't have a personality. This is why things like blackfishing have become extra popular. It's not just popular because like, oh, you know, it's popular because everybody talks about blackfishing, because very many people talk about the ways in which this is harmful and why they need to stop doing it. And now even more people have learned that by blackfishing, they will upset black people and anger black people and begin showing up in conversations by black women, black men. White people will also discuss this and why it's harmful. And meanwhile, this creator is sitting over there just like, I mean, I'm getting what I wanted. Everybody's talking about me. Excuse me, Bo was literally up to some shit and he just shat on the floor. BRB. All right, I have returned. Clean hands, clean floor. Bo suffering from intermittent diarrhea. It's been a stressful time. All right, back to the story. The other side of it is, for those people who actually believe in it, obviously they're creating monsters. But I'm more critical of those who don't believe what they're saying and are literally using the pain of others to capitalize. And I'm tired. I think we're all tired of seeing it because it never ends, right? It's just like this never-ending story where these people just can't leave well enough alone, and they will argue in the comments. And this is the thing. Have you ever argued with somebody, you know, and at some point in arguing with them, you begin to realize that like they're just arguing to argue? That's what happens with a lot of these hate baiters. At some point in the argument, you begin to realize that they're just arguing to argue. And everything that they say, almost all of their responses, in my opinion, are the textbook responses that we've all seen and talked about in varying forms of media. I have eyelashes falling into my face, okay. So regardless of if you have a YouTube channel, Instagram, a blog, whatever it is that you have where you're public, your Twitch, any of that stuff, these people have figured out the exact formula to keep engagement up, right? So if, again, going back to the random white girl wearing cornrows and braids and, you know, speaking her version of what she thinks that black people speak like, and her AAVE has no rhyme or reason, no sense, doesn't even know where it came from or the syntax in which to put it. But with her, if you tell her, like, and explain to her why wearing braids is wrong, 99% of the time, one of the first comebacks they're gonna have is, well, then how come black people have blonde hair? You know why? Because they know it's going to create more discourse around the situation. So another black person and other white people are going to jump in. They're going to explain that blonde is not like in one race, and that black people can be born with blonde hair, black people can be born with brown eyes. It doesn't matter. That's not the point, okay? Because the point is to keep the comments rolling. The point is to keep people going back and forth, you know, and eventually that thread is gonna tire out. And so they're gonna have some other thing to say, or some response video that says something about like, I grew up in a black neighborhood. This is what's gonna happen literally every single time. No matter what kind of hatred somebody is using, they know the rote answers to keep people talking, maximize harm and irritation, and they know exactly what they're doing. So if you're somebody who thinks that, okay, you know what's hot right now? Making fun of trans people, dogging out trans people. So you're gonna, you know, make your video saying something about the fact that like, you know, there's only this many genders and blah, 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 and, you know, you should love yourself just the way that you were created, blah. And then someone's gonna come along angrily and explain the science behind things and tell you how messed up you are to believe that, and ask you things like, you know, how did you know that you were this? And, you know, were you born straight? And just try to rope them in an answer. Don't even get into the argument, because there's no rhyme or reason with these people who, from my honest opinion, this is an opinion. Don't take it as fact, but my honest opinion is a large chunk of these people are fakers, and they're using it for clout, and they are getting exactly what they want. So they'll go on and on about trans people and why you shouldn't do this and why you shouldn't wear, and the whole point is, again, to maximize as much harm as is possible, because the more harm and chaos you cause. I also like to call this horror chaos, not like horror from like horror movies, but horror as in creating horror and panic and hurting people. Like these people are just, they're monsters, but they're maximizing their pain. The pain of the people who have to see this and feel it and watch it. And they're maximizing the carnage, and they're thriving off of this because they know they're getting clicks and views. You know, all of these people will have upwards of millions of views on these videos. And they always will, because as long as we continue to engage with them, they're gonna keep winning. It's about time we just said, fuck it. And the very reason I have this mindset is because if we continue to spread their hate, we're still giving them what they want. Because I have to think about all of the marginalized people who are young who end up seeing this shit. Case in point, the algorithms are getting better and better. If you have TikTok, you know exactly what I'm talking about. TikTok shows you exactly what you want to see. However, if you have creators that you love and you love them for a lot of their political commentary or whatever you love them for, but you have creators you love, right? And then they see this kind of shit and they stitch it and duet it just to talk about their outrage with it. Sorry about the clicking. Sorry, I had to pause for highlighter, but you end up seeing them. Regardless, you end up seeing this person on your For You page because they're probably one of your favorite creators. And now you have to see whatever hatred is out in the world. And my problem with it, specifically for young people, but also for everyone, but specifically for young people, as I think about someone who is young, a young trans person, a young black girl, seeing that like nobody wants her, that all of the black boys are running to the white girl's side on the TikTok. And then so, yes, it matters that somebody has something to say afterwards, but the image of what happened previously doesn't just go away. And the kicker is, had we never responded, you wouldn't have to see that. Especially, you have to think about the people who grow up in positive environments. Because that's another thing, is you really have to think about the people who grow up in positive environments. I'm not saying like, oh, let them live like this world where they don't know, but like, why wouldn't you? You know, why wouldn't you, if you are allowing your kids on the internet and you're allowing them to watch TikTok and you know who they're watching or whatever, but even a 16-year-old, if they have grown up in a very positive environment, why would we want to subject them to hatred for like no reason at all? Like they end up having to see it. And one of the reasons that I use that specific trope of like all the black boys running away from, you know, there was that trend where it was like black girls or white girls and they would all be in like, and you're in the middle, you know, it would, whatever it was like a this or that situation, you would run to the side you wanted to be on, right? And the reason I bring that one up is because that was happening so often this summer. And I just started to think about like, I didn't want to see that shit, right? I did not want to see it. Like that wasn't something that I was like, yay, this is gonna make my day. But then I started to think about like the amount of young people, especially young dark-skinned girls who saw that and realized or felt that they weren't wanted and that they were ugly. And I just was like very upset by that. I didn't know what to do. Like I was just, I don't know, it just kind of hurt my heart at the idea of someone seeing that and realizing that like it hurting them, their self-worth, and that it hurting them as a person. Ugh, Jesus, I am making a mess today. We're just gonna call this my messiest look ever. And I just wonder, like, are we even doing anything good by subjecting people to having seen that? Like, why would we put them in a position to see it at all? On top of that, we've gotta stop giving these people what they want, because again, let's get real that they don't have a personality. Their personality was gone. Whatever they had that made people want to watch them, it no longer exists. And if you don't have any personality, well, you better steal one, right? So what better place to go than upsetting the marginalized? What better way for you to have large amounts of people talk about you and your content and what kind of person you are than to attack, you know, trans people, to attack gay people, to attack black women, to attack black men, to say all lives matter. Like what better way to do it? Because you're it's perfect. It's perfect. It's like, sorry, I'm getting heated. I don't know. I didn't mean to get heated, but like, it's a perfect little foil because now here we all are talking about you and what a piece of shit you are. And you literally don't care because you know what you got out of it? You got exactly what you wanted out of it. You have huge creators on every platform talking about what a horrible human being you are. And you don't care as long as you get paid and as long as you get your notoriety, right? As long as people know who you are, because the more views you get, the better it is. But here's the other thing. The other reason that I want hate baiting to stop and why I think we need to ignore it is because these people are not thinking about the long-term implications, because however you feel about kids being on the internet, they're on the internet, okay? However you feel about it, it's not my job. I'm not your parent. I'm not the parent of your child. So I'm not going to be a person who tells you whether or not you should have your kids on the internet. That's not my business. But certainly I am going to say this because I've always got something to say. These kids do not understand. Some of them are not understanding the far-reaching implications of what it is that they are doing. The multitudes of kids, teenagers, and I'm talking about teenagers here, but the multitudes of teenagers who have lost scholarships, full rides to school because they jumped on what they looked at as a trend. Do you see where I'm going with this and why it's problematic? They looked at it as a trend, thinking like, oh, I'm just jumping on this trend and it's funny, like, haha. They know what racism is. Don't get it twisted. They know what racism is, but they also know how the internet works and they get what it means to blow up on the internet. But they also don't get what it means to blow up on the internet, because the part that they're missing is like, yeah, but you're not free from getting in trouble for what you've done. You're not free. So when you hop on there, dropping hard R's, thinking you're being funny and cute, not really thinking about your full ride scholarship to college or the internship that you plan to go to or the cheer camp or any of that shit. You don't think about any of that. And you know what ends up happening is all of that gets lost in a blink of an eye, because people aren't going to let you get away with that shit, because it's 2021 now. I mean, really, it still feels like it's 2020 the way shit's going, but it's 2021 now, and people are no longer willing to accept casual racism, casual transphobia, casual homophobia. Like, we're just not willing to accept it anymore. There's more and more of us who are like, this isn't okay. And here's the fun part. You don't have to believe or agree with somebody to just shut the fuck up. I mean, this is trivial, but I don't believe in or like avocados. But you know what I don't need to do? I don't need to go out of my way at every opportunity to talk about how much I fucking hate avocados. I don't need to go over and tell you that if you have avocados in your house, I don't appreciate it, because it's none of my fucking business. The avocados are in your house, not mine. The only reason I have anything to say about avocados is when they are on my plate, baby. My plate, not yours. And I personally find this very, very frustrating, because we're leaving youth, like young people, in these positions to essentially ruin their entire lives because they're not understanding the power of the internet. They're not really getting that their little, like, what they think are trends, because a lot of these kids will turn right around and be like, wait, but I have black friends and I'm not racist and I don't mean it like this, and oh my God, they thought that they were being fun and funny, but now it's all over the internet. They wanted to blow up, but they weren't expecting it to have actual consequences. You know why? Because they're 16 years old. But because of all of this stuff that people see, they just keep emulating it and thinking, oh, it's great. And if you think that this shit is new, it's not. Obviously, it's not new, because I remember when, like, kids, listen, trigger warning, when I was a kid, people did some really fucked up shit to cats because of Beavis and Butthead. Now, it wasn't because of Beavis and Butthead. It was obviously poor parenting. But what I'm saying is, these kids get out there and put up these videos in record time. And I get really tired of the constant argument, which is like, oh, well, you need to watch your kids. Like, to a degree, yes, that's true. But you can't watch what they're doing over at someone else's house. So they could be over at their friend's house, and then before you know it, they have a video out with them and their friend doing horrible things or saying awful things. And for what? Now the scholarship is lost. You know, the kid has lost their scholarship. And I'm not saying that they should be free from consequences, but all of this happened, and for what? For clout? And so to me, I feel like we need to start doing the opposite. We need to stop paying attention to the hate mongrels and the awful people. Like, obviously, if it feels like you see one of these things and you think that this person is going to actually act on one of the things that they've said, by all means, report them or do whatever we need to do to get them out of everything and get them off of the internet as quickly as we possibly can. But one of the things I'm loving seeing are those coming through who are showing solidarity by doing things like the several boys, I guess they are, the several people who happen to look male. I don't know which way to put this, because the way that I'm framing it has to do with them all wearing what looks like a French maid costume and doing like dances or whatever. I prefer we pay attention to that. Positivity, because they are, one, highlighting something, specifically because they are highlighting and normalizing the idea that clothing doesn't have to have a gender, that clothing is clothing and it never had a gender. And it's weird as fuck that we've like moved into this weird ass realm where it's like, this is for girls and this is for boys. And I'm like, or you just wear whatever the fuck you want to wear. Like, it's super easy. You just find clothes, put them on, wear them. It's great. And don't get it twisted. I am not advocating just burying our heads in the sand, but I am championing the idea that we elevate those who are for the cause and trying to help, and stop elevating those who bring nothing but negativity and ugliness to the table. Because the more that we keep elevating them, the more that these people will continue to behave like this. And we're not giving the rise and the attention to those we need to, which can hurt allies in varying ways, because they are not getting any of the recognition that says, hey, you matter and you're helping us and we appreciate you. Whereas people who are hateful pieces of shit are getting all of this attention for being a hateful piece of shit. I hope that makes sense. You know, I prefer to watch content that's talking about the positive sides of how to date. And yes, there can be funny ones, which I definitely enjoy. I think we should do that. But like, I want to stop paying attention to the hate baiters. And there's a complete difference between comedy and self-deprecation and watching people who are out here making content that is intended to offend. It is deliberately intended to offend, upset, irritate, and cause people to talk. Because you have to start asking yourself, if this behavior is so great, which it isn't, why do almost all of the people involved in that kind of shit eventually stop? And not even eventually stop. It's just like, we don't care anymore. And then they just keep upping the ante and upping the ante and upping the ante. They just keep trying. And what's worse about that is you're like, you know what, if you were even like a quarter of the way interesting, you could have like actually made content and done something. But the only way that you can stay in people's mouths is to be hateful, sad, and shameful. Now, I am very much aware there will probably be somebody in the comments being like, well, you have negative thumbnails, but I'm not talking about like not liking makeup, y'all. This is real shit. That's not the same. Negativity does sell, I get that. But you know what? Hate is also starting to be something that sells way too often, and I'm fucking sick of it. We just keep giving these people a platform. And the thing is, the more we pass them by, the harder it gets for them to have a platform and a stance and a feeling of oppression, because we're no longer talking about them at all. And when we stop talking about them, then they can't really say that they're being oppressed anymore, because nobody gives a shit. And now they just have to sit there with all of their sycophants who agree with them and be sad that their little plan to gain a following, gain a personality didn't work out. It didn't work out the way that they had intended, because we don't care. We're looking at positive shit. We're trying to hype up those who are trying to bring awareness to all of the great things about the marginalized communities, all the things that we didn't know. They're giving us knowledge and power in ways that we didn't have before. And I am and always will be a champion of that mentality. I'm going to be really afraid of myself for using this brush, but we're going to see how this kind of... Okay, I'm going light on the highlighter. So with that said, stop paying attention to these hate baiters, because that's exactly what they want and need, is attention. And they don't care. They don't care that they're hurting anybody, whether they believe it or not, which again, my suspicion is that many of them don't. They don't care. And their whole plan is really just to get attention, notoriety, everybody talking about them, a video from Smoky Glow, and no offense, Hannah, but because that's when you know you've made it, right? If Hannah, Amanda Beebe, T, Kenya. If any of those people speak about you, you know you've made it. Sharita, if any of these people have a conversation about you, now you know you have made it in this world. You've made it. Now, on to another thing. Another thing that I kind of wanted to touch on right quick. As we know, the whole world just kind of fucking blew up a little bit in a horrible way. Well, maybe that wasn't the best choice of words, but it's the choice of words I'm using. I was greatly affected by that, and I do want to thank each and every one of you who reached out to me and were kind and had kind words and just really, dropping everything. And just really treated me like a human being, obviously. But I appreciate y'all because it was a little bit shocking. I've been in the US now for 30 years, and for 30 years, I have been psychologically traumatized by this country. I've had to watch Black people get murdered in the streets all the time and try to justify it all the time. Respectability politics as a Black person is a real thing where you felt like you had to, be Cosby good in order for you to be respected. And in that vein, I'm going to tell you right now, if there are creators that I suspect in any way are Trump supporters or support creators who support Trump in any way, shape, or form, I will disassociate with them. I will hide any video that I've ever done with them. I don't care to make money off of those kinds of people. I don't want them in my life, but you will not hear me talking shit about them because I'm literally not going to give them the energy. And also, I'm not going to be turned into the angry Black girl when all's said and done, because that's always how this kind of shit goes. So that being said, I just wanted to get all of that off my chest and thank you. And we're going to look at the final look since I've completely bummed you the fuck out. And we're going to close this bitch out. So yeah, this is the final look. I really don't want to do all of the things because I don't know. I feel a little awkward doing it because all I want to say is, in conclusion, it's time that we stopped giving these people what they want, which is they want the attention. They want all of us to talk about them, and they don't care how they get the attention as long as they have it. And the thing is, if and when they should apologize and say that that's not really them and that that was a gag and that we're supposed to forgive them, I fucking don't want to talk about them then either. I just want them to disappear into obscurity where they need to go. And most importantly, I don't like racists. I don't like transphobes. I don't like fascists. I don't like bigots. I don't like homophobes. I don't like it if you cannot use someone's pronouns. Just be a fucking good person. It's really not hard to do. It means very little to you sometimes to use someone's pronouns, but it means everything in the world to them. And that is all I've got to say on that. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed this, please give it a big thumbs up. Also, I'm a feminist in case you missed that somewhere. And until next time, be safe. And as usual, huge shout out to my patrons and spooky bays. Yeah. All right. As usual, it costs $0 to be kind. And it's so good for your soul. Because if you don't take care of it, me and my minions are sure as fuck gonna take care of yours for you. All right. XOXO. Got the girl. Now, the reason I call this hate baiting is because it's okay. Have I done blue? Have I done green and blue yet? Have I just done more green? We're gonna do black because I feel like it. Now, the reason I call this hate baiting is because it's overwhelmingly directed at, wow, that was intense. That was a lot of black. I was more black than I wanted. We're gonna hopefully I didn't fuck that up. What's that word? Okay. Now, the reason I call this hate baiting is because it's overwhelmingly directed at I'm paralyzed because I want to do black, and I'm going to. It's over. I cannot say marginalized, and it's fucking pissing me off. Like, I hear it in my head, and then I try to make the words come out, and then it won't. It just goes meh. Okay. It's really hot. Oh, I gotta film again. Look at the curls, though. Look at my curls.